Hello, dear friends. This sounds like science fiction because of the continued information blackout on exopolitical issues, but the universe is full of advanced civilizations, and exopolitics is a very real thing that affects terrestrial humanity. This is a summary of the latest that has come out. Opinion piece. Negotiating the new Earth. Secret meeting near Jupiter with Federation representatives. International Space Alliance created. Countries with space programs took part in it. China and Russia are very unhappy with the agreement. We are participating in the birth of the Starfleet. Federation's hidden war on Earth, Moon and Mars. Defeated the Armada, Draconians and Orion alliance. Phobos is a satellite of Mars that has just been liberated from hostile control. The next target is Deimos, which is held by another regressive species. Let's start. And in the likeness of the Yalta Conference after the World War II, the new cosmic order in our solar system that would emerge with the imminent military collapse of the Dark Armada and its Draconian command was recently discussed. The agreement took place in a set of 12 secret meetings near Jupiter, attended by representatives of the Galactic Federation of Inhabited Worlds and other space alliances such as the Andromeda Council as well as the Earth Alliance, and the Cooperate Consortium of secret space programs as revealed by the famous French contactee Helena Danan throughout Dr. Michael Sala. There were 12 meetings were completed. He said that 12 meetings were completed on July 17th near Jupiter, and that the final meeting had concluded only a day earlier with an agreement that would establish a multinational space alliance among the major Earth nations under US leadership. Each group consisted of military Space Force officers and CEOs of progressive corporations. The major nations that have formed space commands recently are Germany, Italy, the UK, Australia, and joined by the US, France, Russia and China to integrate their space activities. Military conflict. Currently, there is a military conflict between the Galactic Federation of Inhabited Worlds with rival special coalitions such as the Dark Fleet, the Draconian Empire, and the Orion Alliance. But fortunately, the Federation is winning. Human groups like Unfathomable Power, the Dark Armada, and the Corporate Interplanetary Space Program, which previously worked with negative groups, are losing power to a white hat Earth coalition, the US Navy's Solar Warden Space Program, who are working with the Federation. Many years of secret collaboration with Earth nations have been completed, but we have yet to end this war for the liberation of this solar system. Until then, we will have to work hard, and when this day comes, we will all be ready to step into a new era of brotherhood and cooperation together. That is what Helena wrote, in quotes. Agreements on Jupiter were approved between the different progressive galactic coalitions and the terrestrial military forces to share the use and protection of this star system in the economic and military fields in preparation for the future. Territories of action has been established. Earth humans are officially taking over their system. The US was the lead representative at this series of meetings. They were chosen by the Federation as the most capable of ensuring a sustainable and glorious future for off-world humanity because of their skills, resources, and goals. The Galactic Federation of Worlds want to work on space matters with an alliance of nations working with a unified space command structure, and not with different rival and conflicting space forces at odds with each other competing for space. In other words, they want us to agree among ourselves before they collaborate. Artemis Program. 8 nations on Earth signed the Artemis Space Program on October 13th, 2020. The USA, Australia, Canada, Italy, Japan, Luxembourg, the United Arab Emirates, and the United Kingdom. Since the launch of the Artemis Agreement, Brazil, South Korea, New Zealand, and Ukraine subsequently signed on. Another major spacefaring nation, India, is also considering joining to the agreement. What the Artemis Agreement has created are the fundamental principles of an international space alliance under US leadership that enables joint economic and scientific activities in space, along with a multinational military alliance that will protect these activities throughout security zones. A Federation delegation has been separately auditing various Earth representatives, military officers responsible for space forces, as well as the heads of certain progressive corporations, in order to determine the security zones and who would best serve the interests of the majority. Artemis is an international named spaceflight program by the US. It was launched in 2017 under the Trump administration with the goal of returning humans to the south pole of the moon in the mid-2020s, with the first crew in 2024. The Artemis program is being carried out primarily by NASA commercial spaceflight contractors in partnership with the space agencies of Europe, Luxembourg, Japan, Canada, Italy, Australia, the United Kingdom, United Arab Emirates, Ukraine, Brazil, South Korea, and New Zealand. Other nations are also invited to join the Artemis Agreement, which remains open for signature as of October 2020. In February 2021, the Biden administration officially approved the Artemis program. In April 2021, NASA contracted SpaceX to develop, manufacture, and operate 2 lunar missions with the Starship HLS lunar lander. Global coalition. The 6 most important countries in space exploration would be the US, France, Great Britain, Germany, Japan, Italy, and Australia, all of which have functioning space commands. But the US has earned the responsibility for organizing the United Space Coalition of the New Earth. No other space nation has joined China and Russia in their proposed International Lunar Research Station initiative, launched with their bilateral agreement reached in June 2021. Only the US has succeeded in creating a multinational space coalition throughout the Artemis Agreement, which Russia Russia refused to join because it was, in their opinion, too US-centric, and China was excluded from joining because of its ongoing intellectual property theft and industrial espionage. Consequently, it's not surprising that the Chinese and Russian delegations were very unhappy with the agreements reached near Jupiter. We seem to be in a very similar situation at the moment, with a hidden war being waged on Earth, the Moon and Mars, wherever the Dark Armada, the Draconian Empire, and the Orion Alliance have established bases or assets. These bases, which have been attacked by the Federation, were created as early as the 1940s due to agreements reached with Nazi Germany, and have since expanded with major multinational corporations secretly building assets for various privately managed secret space programs, and have become space powers in their own right. Liberation of Phobos. According to Elena Danam, Mars' largest moon, Phobos, has just been liberated from a hostile group of what she identifies as a small Zeta Reticuli race. Her startling information is backed up by scientific data and historical evidence indicating that an aggressive species was located somewhere in the interior of Phobos and was opposed to humans gaining detailed knowledge of what was going on there. This place was a central facility to treat human abductees brought from Earth, implant them with trackers, and prepare them for the various programs in which they would be used. The reasons why these operations were a delicate matter was the presence of all these unfortunate people who needed to be released before any military operations could be carried out. The idea that Phobos is a hollow orbital facility is supported by scientific data. Speculation about Phobos being hollow initially arose in the 50s and 60s because of its unusual orbit. The European Space Agency launched its Mars Express mission in 2003 and eventually published a report on what was discovered about Phobos. Phobos has large caverns, confirming key elements of the hollow moon hypothesis. In addition, the report adds that Phobos is not a captured moon, which supports the claim that Phobos was artificially placed in Mars orbit and was used as a base by one or more extraterrestrial groups. Also, the idea that there is a slave trade involving captured humans is something I have previously discussed in relation to Siemens company that secretly built several billion RFID tracking chips in the 1980s and subsequently destroyed all evidence of their construction. The new target of the Federation forces is the other main Mars satellite called Deimos, which is held by the Mitra, a higher type of Grey. It is a slave sorting facility where newly abducted slaves are taken to be sent to various destinations. Similar facilities existed on the hidden side of the Earth's moon before it was liberated and returned to the terrestrial powers recently. Temporal war. Current events on Earth are part of a time war between the three major alliances over our destiny. humanity is being visited by multiple extraterrestrial civilizations, many of which belong to at least 3 rival alliances competing over human affairs. These rival organizations appear to be a galactic federation of worlds, a Draconian empire, and an Orion alliance. Alex Collier said that the Andromeda Council comprises 139 different star systems and had become interested in Earth because of the detection of a galactic tyranny 350 years in the future that could be traced to Earth, the Moon, and Mars in the present era. It was talked about 22 extraterrestrial civilizations that had genetically intervened in human affairs and were responsible for different racial and ethnic groups on Earth, which is not the norm in our galaxy. These 22 groups appear to come from mostly human-like races from the 3 competing alliances, not just Federation members. Finally, there is a higher density group, also called the Galactic Confederation, to which the Alliance of Sphere Beings and the Andromeda Council belong, and which appears to be an arbiter of cosmic law. These 5 distinct associations of extraterrestrial races appear to be the key players in current events on Earth. The worldwide concealment of the star visitors has made it very difficult for the general public to determine what is going on. However, thanks to the efforts of people like Cory Good, Elena Danam, Alex Collier, and other sources, we can get a more accurate picture of what is currently happening. Breaking news. Earnings lift Wall Street to record high, but dollar weakens. Strong corporate earnings and solid economic growth data lift U.S. stocks to record highs on Thursday, although the Federal Reserve's message earlier this week that it was no hurry to reduce stimulus pitched the dollar to a 1-month low. Economy contracted nearly 20%. The U.S. economy contracted to a record average annualized rate of 19.2% from its peak in the fourth quarter of the 2019 throughout the second quarter of 2020. Elon Musk impersonators scam millions of dollars using cryptocurrencies. Impostors posing as well-known and controversial billionaire Elon Musk are profiting millions of dollars throughout internet scams in which they trick users with inciting cryptocurrency trades that never materialize. Spain. July ends up being the month with the highest electricity price in history. This July is about to end as the month with the most expensive electricity price in history. The price of electricity has increased by 12% compared to the previous month of June, and almost triples compared to July last year. Not even during the weekends have prices gone down a little, since during the whole month they have remained at daily amounts above 74 euros megawatt hour. All this means that the average bill has risen to 72.50 euros despite the temporary deduction of VAT to 10%. This means that without this VAT reduction, the average bill would amount to almost 80 euros. Iberia auctions tickets to fill their planes and prices can drop by half. Iberia began to auction tickets to distant destinations with a starting price well below the usual, a strategy that was initiated in order to increase the occupancy of its aircraft and is now carried out more frequently. Europe. Italians take to the streets to protest against the compulsory health pass. The imposition of the compulsory use of a health pass to enter bars, restaurants, cinemas, and other enclosed spaces generates adverse reactions in Italy, with thousands of people taking to the streets to protest. European Union supports Cuban protesters. The European Union on Thursday showed its unequivocal support for the citizens of Cuba following the anti-government protest that broke out on the island on July 11th and called on the Cuban government to release the detainees. Excuse me. More news. Rebels attack army outposts in southern Syria. Syrian rebels launched a series of mortar attacks on Syrian army checkpoints in the southern province of Deraa, in the biggest outbreak of violence since government forces retook the restive region 3 years ago. Light detected behind a black hole. A supermassive black hole is so dense that no incoming light can get back out. However, the detection of small X-ray flashes has allowed light to be observed directly behind these bodies for the first time. This corroborates Albert Einstein's theory of general relativity, which predicted this scenario, but until now had never been confirmed. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.